My name is Naomi. I'm 41 years old. I'm an American-born Israeli, and I live on Kibbutz Nahal Oz, 600 meters from the northern Gaza border. And I want to share what happened to me and my family on October 7th. We woke up from missiles, loud noises at a little after 6:30 in the morning, ran into our sheltered room, which is where my three sons, ages 7, 6, and 2, sleep, and closed the metal window and just stayed there. We are used to rockets. This is our life, but this was different. It was nonstop. It was very loud, and we just didn't know what was going on. The noise stopped after about 10 minutes, at which point I told my husband, Amir, that I needed to get out the front door and get some fresh air. So I got out, opened the front door to my house just to breathe. And at that time, my husband took both of our phones and some water, and he said, let's go back into the safe room. Right before I went back into the safe room, I saw a message on one of the WhatsApp groups saying, you have to lock your doors. So I quickly ran to my front and back door and locked them and went back into the safe room. My house is at the very end of the kibbutz, the last row before the back entrance to all of our crops and plantation fields. We grow bananas, avocados, potatoes, carrots, wheat, and some other things. When I opened my door and looked out into the fields, I saw pickup trucks with people, which I thought was very weird. And I told my husband, there are people outside. And usually when there are rockets, there aren't any people outside because everyone is looking for shelter. That turned out to be Hamas coming to our house. My neighbor, who lives right behind me, saw them coming to my door. They were wearing IDF, Israeli Army uniform, and they had a white bandana and a head camera. And I later learned that if I hadn't locked my door when I did, 20 or 30 seconds later, they would have been at my house, and I would have been the first one killed. I didn't know that at the time. What happened eventually was that they weren't able to break into my house because one of the bullets that they shot at with to break into my house lodged the lock of the door, and the door was jammed, and they couldn't come in, so they just skipped my house and moved on. But I didn't know all of this because I was in my sheltered room with my husband and my three boys. We were there from a little before 7 a.m. until we were rescued by the army at 1 a.m. 18 hours. 12 of those hours we did not have electricity. We couldn't charge our phones. There was no cell service. So we didn't really know what was going on, but we heard it. I heard and felt the grenade being thrown at my house. And for hours upon hours upon hours, I heard gunfire and screaming in Arabic. I won't go into detail of how we survived those 18 hours. I will say that my three boys and my husband and I did the very best we could to stay calm, to keep our morale and spirits high, and we just waited for the army to come and get us. When the army did come and get us, they had to completely surround our house and knock on our sheltered room window with another member of our kibbutz telling us that it is the army, and they knew us by name because of our neighbor, and it is safe that we can leave the room and open the door for them. It took us about 3 minutes to pack whatever we could think of and leave our house with them. Each soldier picked up a child. We quickly put our shoes on. I quickly put on a bra because, again, it all started at 6:26, I think, in the morning, and we were all in our pajamas. So I quickly got dressed, put on some shoes. We forgot to get shoes for our boys. Packed whatever we could and left. When I left the house, I saw that both my car and my husband's car were burnt all the way down to just the frame. I saw fires all over the kibbutz. But I didn't know what else had happened. I had no communication with the outside world, so I didn't know that it wasn't just Nahal Oz. I didn't know who was alive or dead. I didn't know what happened. It was only when the army brought us to a different area of the kibbutz where they brought all the families that they had rescued that we started finding out what happened. As of today, 12 days into the fighting, our kibbutz has lost 13 members, friends. Youngest was an 18-year-old girl who was shot in front of her family. And the oldest is an 85-year-old man. 8 members are still missing, taken. The youngest is an 8-year-old girl, and the oldest is an 84-year-old woman. We are shocked that this happened. We are devastated by the stories that happened also in our kibbutz, but in also our neighbors. My neighbor saw, as he was being rescued by the army, that all of the cars in his parking lot, the trunks were open and the spare tires weren't there. And he knew why. Because their intention was to light up the spare tire and roll it into houses so that if they couldn't kill us by gunfire and if they couldn't take us, they would burn us. We are alive. We survived. We also know now that my husband, who manages the banana plantation and has worked with Gazan men for 5 years, shoulder to shoulder. They're probably the ones that helped map out our kibbutz to help orchestrate the intelligence for this attack, because these people knew where to go. It will take us a lifetime to survive this, but we have a lifetime to survive it.